let me say. Oh boy, a leaf. It looked like a poisonous leaf, like a nettle leaf. Whoa! It's me. It's me, Nono. I want to see the video. Bleh. Bleh. Welcome. Hi, Jake Fox. Hi, Belle. Hi, Maddie. Hi. Hi, Ben. Oh yeah, first isn't working today because Stream Elements decided that they were gonna revamp all their buttons for some reason, which means that every single widget that has been made under Stream Elements isn't working today. But they should be okay tomorrow. They, at least one of the users that makes some of the widgets that I make, specifically the one that has the first, contacted them and they're like, okay, we're gonna revert it, sorry. But yeah, if you're watching another person and they're like confused why one of their Stream Element widgets aren't working, that's probably why. Hi, Toast! I'm gonna watch this egg video. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Is that real? Is he making these noises? Buff. Greg. It sounds like he's having a lot of trouble speaking. Like he's trying to talk while breathing out. Oh, he fell asleep. Good night. Oh! Blah. Sounded... He's... What am I listening to? Blag! It's a seal. Drunk uncle at Thanksgiving sound. Hi, Aggie. It was a video of a seal making noises. But the way that it sounds, it really sounds like he can't breathe while he's speaking. We can breathe while we're speaking, right? Yeah, it's like breath control. They haven't learned how to like inhale while they're talking. Sea pug. That's true. It was snorting like a little pug. How are you guys? I had my CPAP, my my sleep study yesterday. I slept in a room. They had a bunch of wires on me. I didn't sleep very well. You have 4 calculus assignments to do? Oh my god. BTS is back. I don't know anything about BTS. I only follow one K-pop group. Actually, maybe 2 now, but mostly 1. Yeah, it was. I think they. Girl, your group. Don't talk to me. Wait, BTS or mine? I mean, it didn't implode. They like split them apart. They split them apart at the seams. They broke them. What is it? Oh yeah, the machine that they were using at the CPAP place, I think they had like a higher pressure than I'm used to. So it was like I was like burping, which didn't help me sleep because I had to wake up and burp. I'm wondering how you have sleep apnea. Me too. I wish I knew too, but apparently I do. And, you know, it makes sense because I don't sleep. Or I do sleep, but I don't sleep. I don't sleep enough. I don't sleep well. I wish I could sleep well. How you guys have been? How have you guys have been? I've also been playing more of the adventure game, the Minecraft one. Not much has happened. I leveled up, and then unfortunately, today I found out that the spells that I really like, the ones that summon like guys to help fight me, they don't actually work. And they because something, there's like a sneak, or at least Ammo says that there's a sneak thing, like a sneak feature effect that breaks them, so they don't fight like they're supposed to. They just kind of stand around. I'm hoping that it gets fixed because I love them so much, and I'm probably gonna use them even though they don't do anything. Did you see that? What the heck? Why was it all the way over there? Hello? Where's the chicken? Huh? All the way over there. Weird. Oh, that does remind me. I have to turn off. I had to turn off those. Hi, Doctor Who. I've been good. Just signed Astra up for daycare meet and greet. Aww. Puppy? Puppy check? Puppy visit? You have been good there? Good. Have you just tried sleeping well? That's a good question. I haven't slept well in years, which is sad, but I'm happy I'm alive. That is a good point. Maybe you have sleep apnea. I honestly think sleep apnea is more common than people think, and they just accept their tiredness for like something else, which is what I did. I'm like, well, I guess maybe I'm just like bad at sleeping. And I guess technically, yeah, I am bad at sleeping, but I can be better with help. And you too can be better with help. Thank you for the follow, Solo! Alright, today we're reading Warrior Cats. We're taking a break from Minecraft to play Warrior Cats, and I am very, 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 very tempted to... What am I tempted to do? I'm very, very tempted to play Deadlock later, even though I'm in a Minecraft mood, but I'm also in a Deadlock mood. I want to like play both of them at the same time, simultaneously. That's what it feels like I want to do. Like when you're like playing a game and you're watching a YouTube video at the same time, that's what my brain wants to do, but with Minecraft and Deadlock, which is impossible. But maybe one day it will be possible. When I was little, I wanted so badly for there to be like an instrument that would like write down what I'm thinking. Like to like so I didn't have to write anything. I could like write it in my sleep. And I still wish that was like real because sometimes I write songs in my sleep and I want those songs. It exists, just mad expensive, you think so? I don't know if it exists. Hi, Otherworldly. Welcome. think I'm too tall. I want to see my face more. Okay. So I'm gonna start reading, and then maybe hopefully we can get through another 100 pages. Then we're making like good time. Hi, Wisteria! Last time on Warrior Cats, Moth Flight's vision, the medicine cats all met up at Moonstones. They had a dream together. Thank you for the follow, Renji! They had a dream together. They devised this plan where they were going to share all their information with each other. So Moth Flight and Micah started traveling around. I only remember Greywing dying. Yeah, me neither. No other cat death has hit me that bad. That one's rough. In the middle of it, I had to like message my roommate and say, if there's anything you need, don't knock on my door, because I'm in an emotional state. So yeah, Micah and Moth Flight were traveling around, getting information, giving information, learning. They went to River Clan. One of the kits almost drowned, but they performed CPR, and the baby survived, and that was cool. And then they decided, they were like finished, and they're like, I guess it's time to go home. And then Micah was like, maybe I should go to ThunderClan instead together. I've become proud of myself again. I miss you. Sorry I haven't been on. I have a lot of schoolwork to finish. Oh, go grind Danny's world. Good luck. I like your pretty highlighted message. It's very beautiful. Bye. Good luck. Have fun. So, yeah, because they wanted to spend time together. Because, you know, there's crushes growing. So they go to ThunderClan and they start learning ThunderClan things. They learned that Cloud Spots doesn't really keep very many herbs in his store. He prefers to just get them as he needs them, because then they're fresher. So they're learning a lot of fresh herbs and stuff. And then I forget his name. One of the Wind Clan cats comes to ThunderClan and is like, "Where are you, Mothlight?" And then Mothlight's like, "I'm here. What is up?" And he's like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "Well, we're learning." And then he's like, well, Rocky's sick and he's getting worse and we need your help." And she's like, "Okay, I'm coming." And then Micah's like, "I'm coming too." And then she's like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "No, Micah's not coming." And then she's like, "Yeah, he is. We're medicine cats. It's better if we all help." And so they're like, "Okay." And then they all run over, and then they see Rocky, and then Rocky's like messed up and he has like a cough, I think, or something. And then Micah's like, "Oh, Cloud Spots mentioned that sap in Sky Clan. We should go get it." And then Mothlight's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so right. We have to go get it." So they leave to go to Sky Clan to get this sap, and they run over there and they climb this tree to get the good bark sap or whatever. And then while they're there, Clear Sky shows up and he's like, "What are you even doing here?" And then Mothlight is like, "Well, Micah's getting some bark because Rocky's sick." And then Clear Sky's like, "You suck. Get out of here. You don't belong here. This is Sky Clan territory." And then she's like, "What does it matter? I'm not taking prey. I'm just taking bark." And then he's like, "That's our bark." And then Willow, what's her face, shows up, and Red Tail or something. The other cat. The two that have been having beef with each other about territory show up, and they're like, "Rah, rah, rah, I'm gonna..." And then Red Tail climbs up the tree to get Micah to stop, and then Willow jumps up the tree to follow them, and they're busy like fighting in the tree, and Micah's like, "Stop it, you guys! You're being a poo-poo faces." But he delivers the bark down, and then he climbs back up to try and stop them, and they're busy fighting in the tree, and then all of a sudden a tree branch breaks and they all fall. And Willow and Redtail manage to, like, I don't know if that's his name actually, Red whatever, clutches onto the tree and they survive, and then Micah falls to the ground, and he's crushed by a branch, and his spine breaks, and and Mothlight's like, "No, Micah!" And Micah's like, "Bye, I love you." And then she's like, "No, I love you too." And then he dies. And so that's where we're at. That's where we're at right now. So let's go! Chapter 22. As usual, I may be slow to remember how to read. I'll chat with chat as I see fit. I'll probably stop if there's a raid. If I ignore you, I'm probably really in it. So don't worry. Chapter 22. Mothflight lifted her head blearily, not sure if she'd slept. Dawn light filtered through the trees above. I forgot about Rocky. I'm not ignoring you, she said, but her voice came out hoarse and creaky. I didn't take the bark to him. Redtail took it, Windrunner's voice replied. Rocky's doing okay. Don't worry about anything, Mothflight. She smelled Windrunner's scent and realized that her mother's warm flank was pressed against hers. Swiftminnow was on her other side. Mothflight wondered how long they'd been there. A chilly mist swirled around the forest floor. Dread swelled at the edge of her thoughts, and she wondered for a moment why. Then she remembered. Anguish struck her like a wave. She struggled to breathe. Micah's muzzle was still a whisker from hers, cold and stiff. She blinked at it numbly. Grief had dragged her through the long, dark night. Foxes had screeched from their depths of the woods. Owls had glided curious through the glade, the breeze from their silent wings, the only clue that they had passed. Paws had scuffed the forest floor as cats came and went, dipping their heads in respect to Micah, exchanging sympathies in hushed mews. It's time we buried him. Windrunner's mew cut through Mothflight's grief like claws. Panic seized her. No! They couldn't lay him deep in the earth and cut him from sunlight forever. I need to see him. Windrunner got to her paws and touched her muzzle to Mothflight's head. Foxes'll come for his body if we don't. Mothflight blinked at her. Why was her mother being so cruel? Swiftminnow shifted beside her. Burying him will show our respect. Windrunner nodded. He'll be safe in the earth. Anguish slammed into Mothflight. But what about me? I need him. You still have your family, murmured Windrunner. And your clanmates, Swiftminnow added. Mothflight leaped to her paws and glared at them. I don't want you, she hissed. I want him. They exchanged looks, and then Windrunner signaled to some cat with her tail. Gorsefur padded towards them, with Nettle, Blossom, and Acornfur following close behind. The splintered branch had already been cleared away, leaving Micah's body exposed to the brightening day. Nettle thrust his gray muzzle beneath Micah's flank, heaving him onto his back. Gorsefur and Blossom crowded beside him, helping to take the weight of Micah's body. Acornfur slid among them, pressing her shoulder beneath Micah's hindquarters. Together they carried the body from the glade. Mothflight watched them wade through the bluebells, the purple blossoms sweeping Micah's matted pelt. Windrunner nudged her gently forward. Come and say goodbye. Mothflight's paws felt as heavy as stone as she followed the cats out of the glade. Daylight was beginning to glimmer among the leaves overhead as the sun lifted higher. At the top of the rise, she saw cleared earth and a hole dug deep into it. Clear Sky stood at its head, Starflower at his side. SkyClan gathered around them as Nettle and Gorsefur paused at the edge of the hole. Mothflight blinked at the solemnity in Clear Sky's gaze. Didn't he realize that he'd caused this with his fox-hearted craving for borders? Acornfur's eyes were misted with grief. She pressed against Birch while Quickwater, Alder, Fernleaf, and Thorn stared bleakly at Micah's body. Redclaw hung... Redclaw! That's his name. And Redtail's the one from the first series. Thank you for the follow, Dan! Redclaw hung back behind Clear Sky, his gaze fixed on his paws. Mothflight felt anger flash in her belly, eclipsing her grief for a moment. You killed him. You and your stupid fight. She glanced around, wondering if Willowtail had dared come. Warrior cat time. The pale tabby she-cat was watching half hidden behind Dust Muzzle. Mothflight glared at her, anger seething beneath her pelt. Don't skulk behind my brother, she spat. Come and see what you've done. She jerked her muzzle towards Micah, lying stiffly on Nettle's back. Mothflight felt Windrunner's pelt brush her flank. It was an accident, she murmured. It didn't have to happen. If they hadn't been fighting, Mothflight glared at Redclaw, Micah would still be alive. Clear Sky caught her gaze and returned it steadily. Micah died because he was brave. It was a noble death. Sure, bruh. He didn't die because he was brave. Mothflight stared at him, stunned. He died because you sent Redclaw after him. Clear Sky didn't blink. He chose to climb back up the tree. He meowed simply. He could have stayed on the ground. Mothflight's mind whirled. Was Clear Sky blaming Micah? Starflower stepped forward, her emerald gaze round with sympathy. You are angry, she mewed. A cat you loved has died. But what is the point in blaming Clear Sky, or Redclaw, or Willowtail? The tree was rotten. Do you blame the tree? Yes! Mothflight's pelt bristled. And Rocky's cough for sending us there, and Clear Sky, and Redclaw, and Willowtail. Her thoughts seemed to whirl as rage flared. And Micah, for being so dumb! Starflower blinked at her. Would Micah have blamed anyone? I'm glad I spent this time with you. His dying words echoed in her mind. Shame washed her pelt. He could have hated me for bringing him here, but instead he was grateful. She felt the eyes of the other cats fixed on her and backed away, grief welling once more in her chest as her anger withered. Windrunner brushed her cheek with her muzzle. Let's say goodbye to Micah kindly. Nettle crouched and let Micah's body slip from his shoulders. It dropped into the hole with a thud. Clear Sky stepped forward and looked into the darkness. No! Mothflight closed her eyes and pictured Micah on the stepping stones, the river sparkling around him. That night, as they'd curled in their nests in Dapplepelt's den, he'd asked her to be his mate. What? Censored? We didn't get to see this! Are you... what? Can't believe this. Carbonara! Nice. Hi, J Sizzle. Hi, Q. So is this in read orders in terms of what is done? I have read through Into the Wild, New Prophecy. You can see on the top, that's the death count right there of how many cats died in each series. So we just finished Dawn of the Clans and we're reading Mothflight's Vision to kind of summarize the finality of how the clans were formed, since this one kind of covers the medicine cats. And then we're going to start the next one, the next series. A secret. I think she's fair to blame everyone, even Micah. I think that's fair. Understandable. But also, what the heck? He asked her to be his mate? And we didn't get to hear it? We didn't get to see it? I actually skipped on to the clans for the sake of the story. I was going to too, but honestly, it was really good. And I cried at the end so much. It was really bad. Thank you for the follow, PVT Potter. But we're gonna go to the next... yeah, so we'll continue on to the next stuff next time. Okay, let's continue reading.
Howdy, hey, howdy from England. Hi!
Wait, which arc is the next one? The one after Omen of the Stars. I have no idea what any after Omen of the Stars, I don't know what anything is. Vision of Shadows. Who's your favorite cat? I'm gonna judge you, but nicely.
Me too! Yeah!
Jay Feather's lovers rise up. We're the best. He's the best. Where's his super edition? I don't know where it is. I want it, but they're not giving it to me. So what gives? What gives?
Bye, Toast!
Okay, I'm gonna keep on reading. I love Jay Feather. I'm glad we agree. I'm more than clueless. We're reading Warrior Cats right now. It's a young adult series. Oh my god.
Hello, ladies and lads that came here today to talk about our beautiful and gorgeous streamer who I have no clue who she is, but I can tell she is gifted to be around. Aw, you're so sweet, Zaro. Have a great stream, gang. You have a great day. Thank you for the hydrate
and the dehydrate. Gosh darn, I didn't have any dehydrating with me. I'll have to get some later. Skill issue, it is. I left my soda pop. Spice level, is it on by spice level? 0. It's about cats. That night, as they curled in their nest in Dapplepelt's den, he'd ask her to be his mate. While Dapplepelt slept, they'd planned a future in soft whispers. They told each other that StarClan would find a way for them to be together. They could be medicine cats to both clans, traveling between them, but always at each other's side. Mothflight felt her mother's flank pressing against hers. She watched as Clear Sky pushed a paw full of earth into the hole. Would either leader have let them live that way? Would StarClan? She'd never know now. Her throat tightened. A wave of sadness flooded her, so strong that the ground swayed beneath her. Windrunner pressed harder against her. Gorsefur padded to her other side and pushed his shoulders beneath hers. Clear Sky lifted his muzzle. I had doubts about taking Micah in. You still did, bruh. He meowed. When he cured Tiny Branch, I regretted my promise to let him stay. He was a farm cat, sleek from easy living, too sure of himself to be trusted. I didn't think he had any place in a clan. Nettle nodded. Quickwater murmured in agreement. Clear Sky went on. But I was wrong. He gazed sadly into the grave. He devoted every thought and every moment to his clanmates. His gaze flitted from Nettle to Quickwater. All of us who doubted him came to respect his intelligence and value his kindness. The Sky Clan cat nodded solemnly. Starflower moved closer to the Sky Clan leader as he continued. I respect Micah. He stood up to me. He did what he thought was right, not what would please me. He died doing what he thought was right. Oh, wait, what? He looked at Mothflight. He had to climb back into the tree. He was being true to himself. He died as he lived, caring about others. Bravely and without hesitation. We were lucky to have known him, even for so short a while. Whose fault is that, dude?
I think I just wondering. Yeah!
The forest seemed to spin around Mothflight. She felt Windrunner and Gorsefur press closer, supporting her as her paws buckled beneath her. Clear Sky's gaze was still on her. Will you speak for him? I can't. Mothflight faltered. Grief seemed to be tearing her heart in two. The other cats stared at her expectantly. She glanced into the hole, glimpsing a flash of Micah's pelt where the rising sun rays pierced the depths. May StarClan light your path. She blinked, surprised at herself. The words seemed to appear in her mouth and roll from her tongue as though she had spoken them countless times before. May you find good hunting, swift running, and shelter when you sleep. Murmurs of approval rippled among the other cats. Mothflight backed away. Windrunner was watching her, eyes bright with worry. I'm okay, Mothflight breathed. I just need to be alone. She turned and fled back to the glade, skidding to a halt as she saw the scattered remains of the splintered branch. She turned, her gaze flashing wildly around the forest, unsure where to go. Mothflight! A gentle mew sounded from the trees behind her. Pebbleheart padded over the rise. I came to pay my respects. Mothflight glanced past him, towards the grave, hidden beyond the crest of the hollow. Are they burying him? She pictured the earth tumbling over Micah's poor, beautiful, broken body. He's safe now. Pebbleheart stopped beside her. You should go home and mourn. No! Alarm jolted through her. She didn't want to be like Slate, moving around the hollow like a shadow, pitied by her clanmates. She didn't want to see her den. Micah had been there. He'd been so excited when they'd remembered the tree bark. Her breath quickened. Rocky would still be there. How could she take care of him? How could she take care of any cat? Her thoughts tumbled, confused. She'd never be able to remember any herb. Every cat would be depending on her. She struggled for breath.
Hello, welcome in. Hi, Flowers and Crafts galore. How are you today? Hypersnaps. Hola, hable español. I know some of my viewers speak Spanish. I don't, though, alas. Don't miss out on the chance to join their amazing creations. What were you busy doing today, Flowers? Hi! What were you up to? What were you arting about? Tassels! Nice. I love a good tassel. Well, welcome in. Hope you have a good rest of your day, bull style. If you want to head out and get some food or take a break or go to bed, feel free. Or if you want to stick around and have something playing in the background, this is the perfect stream for you.
Mothflight. Pebbleheart's soft mew sounded through the roar of blood in her ears. Eat this. An aromatic scent touched her nose. The ShadowClan medicine cat had laid a spring of tiny leaves at her paws. It's time. It'll calm you. Blindly, Mothflight leaned down and grabbed the spring, chewing it as the world seemed to spin around her. Its pungent flavors bathed her tongue, pulling her thoughts away from the spiraling terror that filled her mind. Slowly, she felt her heart begin to slow. She blinked, the blurred bluebells brightening around her. Come back to my camp, Pebbleheart murmured. Reedtail can look after WindClan for a while. You can have peace to your grieve until you feel strong enough to return to your clanmates. Mothflight blinked at him, soothed by his amber gaze. Will Tall Shadow let me stay? Yes, if I ask her, Pebbleheart told her. Windrunner's mew sounded at the top of the glade. Will Tall Shadow let you stay where? She hurried down the slope, ears twitching. I want Mothflight to spend some time with ShadowClan, Pebbleheart told her calmly. Why? Windrunner bristled. She should be with her kin. Pebbleheart returned her gaze. She needs to be away from responsibility until she's strong enough to bear her grief. Mothflight looked at Windrunner, expecting her mother to argue, but saw worry darkening her yellow eyes. Is this what you want? She asked Mothflight. Mothflight nodded, strangely calm. She guessed the time must be soothing her. She leaned against Pebbleheart, gratitude washing her pelt. Pebbleheart dipped his head to Windrunner. I'll take her to my camp. Windrunner shifted her paws. I'll send Muzzle to check on her soon. Not too soon, Pebbleheart told her. She'll be in good paws. I'll take care of her until she's strong enough to take care of herself. Gorsefur called from the top of the slope. We should get back to the moor. Windrunner, the clan'll be unsettled. They'll need you. Windrunner touched her nose to Mothflight's cheek. Take care. Mothflight nodded dumbly as her mother bounded up the slope, and then Pebbleheart began to guide her across the glade. He nudged her gently up the far slope, steering her towards a rabbit trail that cut between the brambles. With every paw step, grief jabbed at Mothflight's heart. She was walking away. She would never again see Micah in the forest or in the moor. She was leaving him behind, alone beneath the earth. Pebbleheart led the way into ShadowClan camp, ducking through a gap in the vast bramble hedge into a wide pine needle-strewn clearing. Juniper Branch looked up from a mouse she was gnawing on and blinked sympathetically at Mothflight. The tortoiseshell queen was looking plump, her belly swollen. Her mate, Ravenpelt, glanced towards Mothflight, catching her eye before awkwardly snatching his gaze away. Mouseier, sitting on a sun-dappled patch of grass at the edge of the clearing, leaned closer to Mudpaws and murmured to his friend's ear, I heard she was in love with a farm cat. Mothflight fixed her gaze ahead. What do you know? She felt unreasonably angry. Micah was dead, and these cats would never know him. It wasn't fair. Mothflight. Tall Shadow patted from the head of the clearing, her eyes soft with sympathy. Mothflight stopped and stared at her paws. Pebbleheart said I could stay, she murmured. Pebbleheart padded past her and leaned close to the ShadowClan leader. I thought she could grieve more easily here, away from anything that will stir memories. Everything stirs memories. The sky, the wind, the sun. Mothflight braced herself against a fresh wave of grief. Tall Shadow dipped her head. Of course you can stay. A black tom padded from a small den woven into the camp wall. Mothflight? He padded closer, his ears twitching nervously. Are you okay? Sparrowfur brought us... are you okay? Sparrowfur brought us the news. I'm so sorry. I wish I'd known Micah better. Pebbleheart says he had the heart of a tribe cat and the courage of a clan cat. Thanks, Sun Shadow. Mothflight met his amber gaze. It was a relief to hear someone say Micah's name. So long as cats spoke of him, he would never be forgotten. Micah shouldn't have died. She flashed a look at Tall Shadow, wondering whether she was like Clear Sky and Windrunner. Did she value borders more dearly than the lives of cats? Tall Shadow's expression was unreadable as she gazed at Sun Shadow. May Mothflight have your den? Of course. Sun Shadow glanced over his shoulder towards the brambles. Should I fresh some fresh moss for the den? Don't bother. Mothflight brushed past him. She didn't care where she lay, just so long as it was away from the prying gaze of the other cats. She ducked into the shadows, relieved to find the den cozy. Its bramble walls encircled the nest woven from pine sprigs. She climbed into it, feeling silky needles beneath her paws. It was surprisingly soft to curl into, and she settled deep inside, letting the pine and bramble muffle the murmuring of the cats outside. Will she be here long? Why did she come here? Then everything fell quiet. Mothflight imagined that Tall Shadow had silenced her clanmates with a stare. She came here for kindness. A moment later, Pebbleheart nosed his way into Mothflight's den. He was carrying a leaf bundle in his jaws. As he dropped it beside Mothflight's nest, it unfurled to reveal a few tiny poppy seeds. Dabblepelt brought these for you. She says they'll help you rest. She's here? Mothflight peered towards the den entrance. She didn't stay, Pebbleheart told her. She says you need peace more than sympathy right now. How did she find me? She was taking those to the moor and met Windrunner and Gorsefur. Mothflight felt her heart prick with gratitude for her medicine cat friends, except Micah isn't one of us anymore. She closed her eyes, frightened even thinking about it. Each thought seemed to remind her of Micah. She wanted to block out every memory and pretend that he was alive in the forest, tending to his clanmates and thinking of her. She leaned over the side of the nest and lapped up the poppy seeds. Pebbleheart stiffened. She just said 2 or 3. I want to sleep until the pain stops. Mothflight gazed at him warily. I'll sit with you. No, I need to be alone. Then I'll check on you in a while.
Thank you for the follow, crying.
Mothflight tucked her nose into her paws and closed her eyes. Blackness came as a relief. She flattened her ears, blocking out the calling of birds overhead and the sound of paw steps outside the den. She wished the darkness would swallow her completely and quench the pain blazing in her heart and scorching deeply in her belly. Her thoughts began to slow as the poppy took hold. She heard Pebbleheart's fur brush the den entrance as he left, then felt herself drifting into sleep.
I'm good. I'm just reading. So I won't be talking to chat as much as I usually do.
Sometimes I'll break in.
Thank you.
She opened her eyes to find herself back at the Moonstone. No, not again. Weariness dragged at her bones. Grief weighed in her like a stone. I don't want to dream. Paw steps brushed rock as two cats entered the cave. A small dark gray she-cat whose brilliant blue eyes sparkled in the gloom, and a flame-pelted Tom. Oh my god, Firestar engine? Mothlight stared at them blankly. She didn't even try to speak. They'd never hear her. This was just another dream like the dream of the other blue-gray she-cat and the dark Tom who'd shown such scorn for his ancestors. She gazed up at the hole in the roof, unsurprised to see the edge of the moon nudging into view. In a few moments, the moonstone would light up and the spirit cats would come. The flame-pelted Tom crouched before the moonstone and touched his nose to it. The gray she-cat stepped away and Mothflight narrowed her eyes, preparing for the explosion of moonlight. When it came, she hardly flinched as the light blinded her. As it faded, she gazed around. Trees had replaced the stone walls of the cave, but this wasn't ShadowClan's forest. She was in the Four Trees clearing. The flame-pelted Tom stood at the foot of the great rock, his gray companion hanging back as stars swirled overhead. Mothflight watched them whirl against the night sky, spiraling down towards the clearing. The flame-pelted Tom backed away, his pelt bristling with alarm. Didn't he know that these were the spirit cats come to share with him? Probably.
No worries. Yeah, it's very confusing if you come in and you're like, you've never heard of warrior cats and you don't know we're in the middle of a book. So much is going on. It is kind of funny if you like come in and you're like, holy moly, things are happening, huh? Don't feel like you're obligated to, though. I'm just here to have fun. To give you something to listen to. Pebbleheart, yeah, very cute, right?
The stars spun, melting into one another as they neared the ground until they blazed like white fire. Mothflight blinked as cats emerged from the silver flames, their starry pelts more brilliant than ever. As they padded across the clearing, the white fire faded behind them. The flame-pelted Tom blinked at them, his eyes lighting in recognition. He lifted his tail and Mothflight saw joy warm his gaze. A golden Tom padded forward, his thick fur like a mane around his head. The flame-pelted Tom greeted him. They exchanged words Mothflight could not hear. Then the golden Tom reached out his starry muzzle and touched the Tom's head. The Tom jerked as though fire seared him. This is just like the others. Oh, so is that Cinderheart with him? I didn't realize Cinderheart had blue eyes. Makes sense, though. Cinderheart, Cinderpelt. Sorry, Cinderpelt. Too many cinders. Mothflight frowned. Why did she keep dreaming this? And always with different cats? A red, bushy-tailed Tom approached the flame-pelted cat next. sending another spasm through him as he touched his nose to the Tom's head. Then a beautiful silver-pelted she-cat took his place. A lithe tabby Tom followed. His touch set the flame-pelted Tom's fur rippling as though he were running through wind. Why do I keep seeing this? Mothlight's paws itched with frustration. What does it mean? 4 more cats approached, each one's touch scorching through the Tom as though it had sparked lightning. And yet, as each spasm ended, the Tom stood stronger, his chin higher. He met the gaze of the last cat with eyes suddenly misted with emotion. Mothlight froze as the pretty tortoiseshell patted closer. Micah looked at me like that. She recognized love in the Tom's bright green eyes. The tortoiseshell's amber gaze reflected it back with such intensity that Mothlight's breath stopped in her throat. Grief swamped her. He's in love with a dead cat. As shock jolted through her, she searched the starry ranks. Was Micah here? Would she have a chance to share such a look with him? She recognized no cat. Please come. Why couldn't she make her dreams do what she wanted? She could only stand by, unheard and unseen, and witness what she could not understand. It's not fair. Her throat tightened, and as she saw the tortoiseshell stretch her muzzle towards the flame-pelted Tom. He met her gaze, his eyes burning with joy and grief. Her touch made his pelt glow, as though filling him with moonlight. He leaned into her, unflinching. Stop! Mothlight backed away. She couldn't bear to watch a moment longer. This all meant nothing. She didn't know these cats. Why should she care? All she wanted was to see Micah, but she couldn't. Hissing, she lashed out a forepaw and slashed through the vision of the tortoiseshell. It was like raking starlit water. The light shattered into countless ripples and faded from view. A wail welling in her throat. Mothlight struggled into consciousness. Heart burning with loss, she blinked open her eyes into Sun Shadow's hollow den. Sad. Chapter 23. Mothlight felt a paw push her shoulder. She struggled awake, her mouth dry, her eyes sticky with sleep. Mothlight? Pebbleheart sounded worried. Are you okay? She lifted her head groggily and blinked at the dawn sunshine filtering into the den. Pebbleheart's shoulder relaxed. I'm not used to giving poppy seeds, he admitted. I was worried you'd sleep for days. Mothlight looked around, surprised by the dark brambles enclosing her nest. Where was the gorse? A sick feeling hit her belly like rotten prey. Micah's dead. She stared at Pebbleheart, a tiny spark of hope flickering beneath her pelt. Perhaps she dreamed it all up. But the medicine cat's amber gaze glistened with sympathy. He leaned down and picked up a wad of dripping moss and laid it on the edge of her nest. I thought you might be thirsty. Sadness swamped Mothlight as she remembered the pool in Cloudspot's den. Micah had still been with her then. She lapped at the moss, her tongue welcoming in the moisture. I brought food, too. Pebbleheart draped a mouse over the side of her nest. It was still warm, freshly killed. Mothlight wrinkled her nose. I'm not hungry. But you must eat, Pebbleheart reasoned. Why? Mothlight snorted rebelliously. If I starve, I can join Micah in StarClan. You mustn't say that. Pebbleheart's eyes widened. Why not? Anger rolled in Mothlight's belly. What about your clanmates and the other clans? Pebbleheart stared at her fiercely. StarClan shared the secret of the Moonstone with you. You're important. And Micah's not? Mothlight growled. Pebbleheart stared at her sadly. Perhaps he's supposed to be with them. His destiny, she muttered bitterly. She pictured the rolling meadows of StarClan's hunting grounds. Was Micah going to spend forever chasing spirit rabbits while she worked her paws to the bone taking care of her clanmates? What about me? Does StarClan want me to be lonely? Is that my destiny? Am I just here to carry out their orders? I can't even get a good night's sleep because they haunt my dreams. Can't they give me any peace? Pebbleheart's eyes flashed with curiosity. They haunt your dreams? He echoed. How? I dream of spirit cats doing some dumb ceremony. Mothlight snapped. The same thing, over and over again, but to different cats. Pebbleheart leaned closer. What cats? Why should I care? Anger prickled beneath Mothlight's pelt. Pebbleheart nudged the dipping moss with a pause. Drink some more. Stop trying to make me feel better, because you can't. I know. he soothed. But I want to know more about these dreams. They might be important. Of course they're important, Mothlight snapped. But StarClan won't tell me why. They just keep making me dream the same dream. She lapped at the moss crossly. Perhaps if you describe the dream exactly, we can work out what it means. Pebbleheart urged. Mothlight swallowed back her anger. I wake up at the moonstone and 2 cats come into the cave. Do you recognize them? No. Mothlight narrowed her eyes as the dream grew more vivid in her mind. One of the cats sits at the moonstone and the other, and when the moonlight strikes it, the spirit cats come. StarClan? I guess, Mothlight told him. They have starry pelts, but I don't recognize any of them. Go on. Pebbleheart's pelt twitched along his spine. The starry cats approached the living cat, and one at a time they touched his head with their muzzle. She shuddered. It seems to hurt a lot. The real cat jerks like he's been hit by lightning, but he doesn't flinch away. He's not scared. He just lets the spirit cat touch him, one after another, and at the end, he looks stronger. Kind of proud, like he's been given a special gift. Is it always a Tom? Mothflight shook her head. The first time it was a she-cat. I've seen her before in a different dream. She was dead, and then she came back to life. Pebbleheart shifted his paws, his gaze clouding with thought. What gift could StarClan give a living cat? Mothflight shrugged. I just know it looks painful. I don't think I'd want it. Really? Pebbleheart's ears twitched. But you're the cat who went to the high stones and found the moonstone. You're the bravest cat I know. I think you could endure anything if StarClan wished it. Mothlight returned his gaze, her heart twisting. I can't endure losing Micah, her mew cracked. Pebbleheart got to his paws. Why don't you come and visit Juniper Branch with me? She's expecting Ravenpelt's kits, and I promised to check on her. She's been having pains. When are the kits due? Not for another half moon. Pebbleheart flicked his tail. Join me. This will be the first litter I've helped with. We can learn a lot. Mothflight followed. Pebbleheart was clearly trying to distract her from her grief. No. She dug her paws deeper into the nest. I'm staying here. Some fresh air might help you feel better. I don't want to feel better. She crouched in the nest, glaring at him stubbornly. Pebbleheart tipped his head sympathetically. Okay. You rest. I guess there's no rush. That reminded me so much of, there's this song by Penelope Scott, I think. And it's called I Don't Want to Feel Better. I don't want to feel better. Penelope, I think. Feel Better, Penelope Scott. I love this song. It's so good because it's like that feeling of rage. I'm pretty sure it's like about a breakup, but it's like you can imagine the person died too, but it's like this like super rage of like not wanting to get better, not wanting to feel better, just like I want you. Why? It's so good. I love that song. Here's the first verse. I don't want to feel better. No one's ever gonna love me like that again. I don't want to get over you. I want to sit with you in bed. I don't want to feel better. I'd give anything to miss you again. I don't want to get over it. I want to get under it instead. So good. Good stuff. Should listen to it. It's my favorite way that people can write grief, in my opinion, because nobody really touches that kind of grief. That, like, anger. Usually it's just, like, wallowing sadness. But I love it when someone gets mad. They get mad. I think that's why, you know that trope when, like, in, like, anime where, like, someone falls down and then they go off their handle? Like Deku. Someone gets down and they're like, I'm losing it. I'm losing it. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Where was I? Mothlight watched him duck out of the den, uncertain whether she wanted to be alone. But what use am I to anyone like this? She tucked her nose between her paws and closed her eyes. Sadness washed over her, wave after wave, until she pushed every thought away and sought sanctuary in sleep. Okay, I'm hot now. I'm in a robe, and it's so fluffy and warm, but oh my gosh. I guess my room gets really, really cold when I close the door. Also, hi, Vibe and Creamy. Thank you for the stretch. Then to hydrate. I think I burned the tip of my tongue. She opened her eyes into another dream. She was standing in a wide meadow. The grass was wilting and the flowers had died. Mist swirled across the ground and swallowed the sky. She glanced around, anxiety creeping beneath her fur as she strained to see through the murky fog. What was hiding there? Her heart quickened as she saw a shape. Broad shoulders, pricked ears, a long tail. It was a tom. Micah! Hello? Sorry, I skipped it. I skipped a thing. It is Micah. Hello? Mothlight tasted the air warily. Micah's scent washed her thumb. Micah! She raced towards the shadowy figure in the mist, the scent growing stronger as she neared. It's me, Mothlight! But the tom didn't turn. He kept moving, swinging his head from side to side as though searching. Micah! She was only a tail length away. Surely he could hear her. She caught up with him and dodged in front of him, trying desperately to catch his eye. He walked through her as though she were part of the mist. Her heart dropped like a stone. No! Rage swept through her. Why was she so powerless in her dreams? Helplessly, she watched Micah move through the mist, heading one way, then the other. His ears pricked, his mouth open. Is he looking for me? Pain stabbed her heart. Micah, I'm here! She woke, trembling, and jerked up her head. Sunshadow was sitting beside her nest. You were dreaming. Mothlight blinked at him, the mist from her dreams still fogging her thoughts. What are you doing here? She pushed herself to her paws. Do you want your nest back? No. His whiskers twitched. I thought you might want something to eat. Pebbleheart brought me something earlier. She scanned the edge of the nest, but the mouse had gone. I gave it to Mouse here, Sunshadow told her. He likes mice best. Mothlight's belly rumbled. She hadn't eaten since Micah died. Did you bring me something? She looked hopefully over the side of her nest, surprised to feel hungry. Guilt flickered beneath her fur. Her stomach was acting like nothing had changed. Come hunting with me. Sunshadow nodded towards the den entrance where afternoon sunlight was turning the brambles golden. You can catch your own prey. Mothlight shifted in her nest, realizing suddenly how stiff her legs were. Perhaps she should listen to the needs of her body. I guess I can try. She stood and stretched. I've never hunted in a pine forest before. I know a stretch where there's hardly any undergrowth, Sunshadow told her. Is that good? Mothlight wondered where the prey hid. There's plenty of ditches, which means we're bound to find a frog or two. No, thank you. Mothlight wrinkled her nose. I've eaten toad. Sunshadow snorted. Frogs taste way better. He leaned closer, eyes narrowing. Why would you eat a toad? Mothlight's pelt prickled self-consciously. She hopped out of the nest and headed for the entrance. It's just something I tried once. She sniffed as she ducked out of the den.
Oh, a poem. Hi, Hippie.
Okay, hold on. Let me scroll up a little. Since the song is up to top-notch work done, thank you for giving me such a good song. I know, it's like so rage-inducing. Like she's so full.
Full poem of the day. Roses are red. I want some fries. I checked my wallet. Only receipt and emotional cries.
Wow, so true. Oh my gosh.
Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Hi, Morgule.
You're taking your cat on a walk? Heck yeah. Outside, Tall Shadow was talking with Mousseer and Mudpaws in the clearing. The Shadow Clan leader snapped her muzzle around as she caught sight of Mothlight. How are you? She called cheerily. Mothflight blinked in the sunshine, feeling suddenly furless. Was everyone expecting her to act like she was okay now? Sunshadow rushed past her and nodded to Tall Shadow. Mothflight's agreed to go hunting with me. We won't be gone long. He nudged Mothflight towards the camp entrance as Tall Shadow dipped her head silently. Mothflight slipped out of camp, relieved to be away from the curious gazes of Shadow Clan. Juniper Branch had watched her pass, stretched on a soft patch of grass. Ravenpelt had been sorting through the prey pile, glancing up to see her duck through the entrance. This way. Sunshadow headed past a stretch of mossy ground and hopped over a fallen tree. One of the spindly twigs jutting from the trunk scratched Mothflight's belly as she leaped after him. She winced as she landed. Are you hurt? Sunshadow halted. Just a scratch. Mothflight didn't care. Grazed flesh hurt far less than the loss of Micah. Get Pebbleheart to look at it after we get back. Sunshadow started walking again. I might find some horsetail and dock while we're out. That should stop it from getting infected. Mothflight hesitated as Micah's word flashed in her mind. If you chew dock leaves and horsetail stems into a paste, you can smear it deep into a wound. Fresh grief swept over her. Sunshadow paused at the top of the pine needle strewn slope and glanced over his shoulder. Are you coming? Mothflight shook out her fur. I want to go back to my nest. You can. He disappeared over the rise. After we've caught a frog. Mothflight hurried after him. Tall pines towered around her, shielding the sky. Sunlight glimmered between the branches, but the forest floor was cold and damp. She bounded down the other side of the slope and caught up with Sunshadow as he reached a stretch of shady woodland rutted with ditches. He paused at first, and she stopped beside him. I know what it's like to lose the cats you love. He kept his gaze fixed ahead. She jerked her muzzle towards him. You do? I came from the mountains to find my father. Sunshadow appeared to be scanning the ditches, his eyes narrowing as he searched for movement. He was dead when I got here, and the cat I traveled with, Quiet Rain, died shortly after we arrived. You didn't lose your mate, though. Mothflight shifted her paws. He went on. Suddenly I was alone, far from my home and from the cats I'd grown up with.
Thank you for the follow, Ping! Must say I'm loving the story, Nono. Very chill voice. Thank you, Potter. I hope you stick around for my other streams, too. We only read Warrior Cats on Wednesdays. Warrior Cat Wednesday.
Tall Shadow's kin, isn't she? He wasn't entirely alone. She's kin, Sunshadow concluded. But she wasn't like my kin back in the mountains. She'd become a forest cat. Everything was so different here from what I'd known. Most of the cats couldn't even imagine what it was like to hunt the peaks, or to never be warm. He turned and met Mothflight's gaze. I felt like a stranger, like no one knew how I felt. It was like being trapped beneath ice, mouthing words to cats who couldn't hear what I said. Mothflight blinked at him slowly. Did he actually understand the pain in her heart? Do you still feel that way? No. Sunshadow's solemn gaze lit up. It got better as time passed. I've grown to love it here. My clanmates feel kin now. We quarrel sometimes, but we look out for each other no matter what. And the hunting is good, and when New Leaf comes, and the oak woods turn green and the wind from the moor brings the scent of heather blossom, I'm glad I came. I feel like I gained something more than I've lost. Mothflight's shoulder drooped. I'll never feel like I've gained more than I've lost. Maybe not. Sunshadow leaped the ditch and padded forward, but you will come to value what you still have, and what you may have in the future. Could that even ever be true? Mothflight followed him, the forest floor turning spongy beneath her paws as pine needles gave way to moss. Water squelched between her claws. You're in that MC server with a few of my friends. Oh my god, Hippie! Who's your friends are in it? I do. I'm part of a Minecraft Adventure SMP right now. It's an RP server. Hi, gamers! Oh, Harry! Right, Harry's there! Of course, of course. should have remembered that. She turned towards the frog and... Oh, wait, sorry.
Look at me go!
Wait! Sunshadow dropped his voice, signaling to her to halt with a flick of his tail. She followed his gaze and saw a green shape hopping along the edge of a ditch a few tail lengths ahead. A frog. Do you want to catch it? Sunshadow whispered. I'm not the greatest hunter, she admitted. If you miss this one, we'll find another. Mothlight glanced at him, suddenly aware of how comfortable she was in his company. Micah would have liked you, she murmured. I think I would have liked him too. His eyes glowed as he returned her gaze. She turned towards the frog and dropped into a hunting crouch. Lift your tail. Horsfur's words rang into her ears. She crept forward, pleased that the soft moss absorbed her paw steps. A tail length from the frog, she paused and fixed her gaze on its glistening green body. She forced herself not to shudder. The frog hopped another muzzle length and paused. They're dumber than rabbits, Mothlight thought. Can't it smell me? She wondered if the pine scent air was disguising her scent. Hurry up, Sunshadow hissed. They're not as slow as they look. Mothlight kneaded the moss with her hind paws, preparing to jump. Then she leaped, her paws slapping the moss a whisker behind the frog. It jumped, tracing a high arc across the ditch. Mothlight blinked as it soared away, bounding over the ditch. She tried to catch it again, her paws sending up water spray as she splattered to the ground half a tail length behind it. It jumped again, changing direction. Mothlight spun and tried to knock it from the air, but it had swerved and she landed flat on her belly. Black Fur flashed past her as Sunshadow flew across the ditch and landed expertly on the frog. He held it down as it squirmed, its flippers churning desperately. You want to do the killing bite? Mothlight screwed up her nose. No thanks. Sunshadow ducked and killed it, snapping its spine with a crunch. As he straightened, she saw his whiskers twitching with amusement. What? She ruffled her fur. You look funny, that's all, he purred. I can tell you've never hunted frogs before. Mothlight sniffed. I bet you couldn't catch a rabbit. Probably not, he meowed warmly, but you still looked funny, like a kit chasing its tail. Mothlight purred, pleasure rising in her without warning. I must have looked pretty dumb. Then she stiffened. Her purr died in her throat. Sunshadow watched her, his gaze darkening. Come on, he mewed briskly. Let's take this back to camp and you can taste it. I'm not hungry. Mothlight turned towards the camp. A mouthful won't hurt. Sunshadow picked up the frog between his jaws and patted after her. They padded back to camp in silence. How could I have purred? Guilt ripped her belly. It's like I'm already forgetting him. Suddenly, she wanted to cling to her grief. It was all that she had left of Micah now. She ducked first through the bramble entrance. You caught one! Sunshadow greeted them, lifting her tail happily as she crossed the clearing towards them. Sunshadow dropped the frog. Mothlight doesn't want to taste it. Tallshadow patted around her. We can't send you back to your clanmates without having tasted frog, she meowed. What will you have to boast about? Mothlight lifted her gaze warily to the stark Shadow Clan leader. I don't want food. She padded across the clearing and nosed her way into Sunshadow's den. Curling deep into her nest, she closed her eyes and let sadness sweep over her. So what if Sunshadow had gotten used to his new home? How could she betray Micah by getting used to life without him? So true. That is such a common thing to go through. Like that, the guilt of like, how can I be happy without you? Like I owe it to you to still be faithful to you. Or I lost you, so I should always be sad kind of feeling.
Water, water, water.
More water and more water. I hope the data recovery can bring back my song. What? Oh, because your computer died? It took your songs? Oh no, I hope it does data recovery too. No. No, I'm so sorry. I really, really hope they can fix it and bring it back. If not, I guess it's time to invest in a backup drive or whatever. They do like there's like certain kinds that like you can plug in and then it like periodically downloads and backs up your entire hard drive. That'll be for next time. Chapter 24. She woke into a misty meadow and knew at once that she was dreaming. Micah? She scanned the swirling fog, straining to catch a glimpse of him. Mothlight? His voice echoed from the murk. Her heart leaped. Joy surged beneath her pelt. Micah, can you hear me? Mothlight, are you there? Mothlight darted forward, searching for him, but there was no sign of him, only his scent. Can you hear me? She repeated, panic rising. Mothlight, his voice echoed back, sounding lost. I need to tell you something. He doesn't know I'm here. It will be okay. His mew was tight with worry. I know you're sad. I miss you too. I love you. I'll always love you. Don't let sadness change you. You have to keep going. Micah! Her cry turned into a wail of frustration. I need to see you. Why couldn't he show himself like Half Moon and the others? She glimpsed his eyes sparkling through the mist on the far side of the mellow. They seemed to stare right through her, anxious and searching. She raced towards his gaze, his scent enfolding her as she neared. Keep going, he called. I'm coming. She raced harder, pushing against the dewy grass. Don't give up. You have to be strong, not just for yourself, but for... A paw buckled under her, and she stumbled, rolling onto the grass. Pain jerked her awake. My leg! Her forepaw was twisted clumsily around under her chest. She pulled it free, kneading her paw against the bottom of the nest to ease the cramping. Dumb leg! Shadows surrounded her nest. It was still night. She growled crossly. Micah was trying to tell me something important. As the pain eased, Mothlight thrust her paws under her muzzle. Perhaps she could finish her dream. She screwed her eyes shut, trying to ignore the pounding of her heart as irritation prickled beneath her pelt. With every waking moment, her dream would be fading, and Micah with it. Be strong, not just for yourself, but for... What was he going to say? She pregnant? Outside, an owl screeched through the pines. A shadow-clown cat was snoring somewhere in camp. Winds swished through the branches high above her. I'll never get back to sleep. Heart sinking, she lifted her head. As her eyes grew accustomed to the moonlight that was filtered dimly through the brambles, she wondered if dawn was near. She opened her mouth and let the night scent wash over her tongue. The dewy air tasted of dusk, not dawn. I'm sorry, Micah. Guilt prickled her belly. She'd let him down. He tried to speak to her and she'd woken up. Why was he still roaming the murky meadow? Why wasn't he in StarClan hunting grounds yet? He'd be safe there, with Half Moon and the others. Do farm cats join StarClan? Her fur lifted along her spine. What if she never saw him again? She stared, frozen. The brambles seemed to close in around her. I'll never be with him. Ever. She lost track of time, her thoughts spiraling in and out of panic. I should take a walk. There was no chance of sleep now, but her paws seemed rooted beneath her body heavy with dread. When dawn comes, it'll seem better, she told herself. But how long until dawn? Her heart pounded in her chest as she watched through the endless night. She must have slept eventually, because Pebbleheart woke her. Mothlight! She lifted her head sharply. There was fear in his mew. I need your help! She leaped to her paws, her heart lurching. Dawn light showed at the den entrance. What's wrong? Juniper Branch started kidding in the night. But she's not due for... I know! Pebbleheart's eyes were wide. The kids are stuck. She's pushing, but they won't come. I'm scared they might die. That she might die... Mothlight cut him off. We won't let them. She bounded from her nest and ducked through the entrance. Scanning the camp, she tasted the air. The sour scent of fear pulsed from an opening in the brambles beyond the patch of grass. She headed for it, Pebbleheart at her heels. She nosed her way through the gap in the branches, surprised by the size of the den inside, hollowed from the thick bramble wall. Juniper Branch lay beside her nest, her eyes wild with pain. Ravenpelt crouched beside her, his pelt spiked with fear. He glanced at Mothflight as she slid in beside him, his hackles rising. What are you doing here? I've come to help. It's okay. Pebbleheart patted past her. She's a medicine cat, too. She's young. Ravenpelt eyed her warily. Does she know anything about kidding? Do you? Pebbleheart returned sternly. Touché. Mothlight pressed her cheek to Juniper Branch's belly. They're still moving. She could feel the kits squirming inside. They want to come out. Juniper Branch moaned. I'm trying! Her body convulsed, and she shrieked as pain rippled through her. Mothlight darted behind her and checked to see if there was a sign of a kit. The ground was bare. Could something be blocking them? She glanced at Pebbleheart. The den was dark, but enough light filtered through the brambles to see his face. He looked grim. Pebbleheart? She turned to the dark Tom. I want you to fetch moss and soak it in water. Juniper Branch will be thirsty. Ravenpelt glanced at Pebbleheart questioningly. Get it, Pebbleheart told him. The Tom headed from the den. Juniper Branch stared at Mothflight, eyes dark with fear. But I need him with me. He's not going far. Mothflight crouched in Ravenpelt's place and rested upon the queen's belly. The squirming was stronger. Pebbleheart and I will help you. She exchanged looks with Pebbleheart. I hope. Why won't they come? Juniper Branch wailed. Mothflight narrowed her eyes, her thoughts quickening. Either something was blocking their way, or they weren't ready to be pushed out. They aren't due for half a moon, she murmured to herself. Could Juniper Branch's body be pushing them out too soon? Another spasm gripped the queen. Her belly convulsed. Don't push! Mothflight ordered sharply. But I have to! Juniper Branch began to pant. Mothflight leaned in closer. Keep panting. Focus on that. We need to stop your body pushing and let your kids find their own way out in their own time. Pebbleheart blinked at her. She can't be like this for a half a moon. She won't need to be, Mothflight told him. Calmness swept over her. She remembered heading to the High Stones tunnel for the first time. She was gripped by the same quiet certainty she'd felt then, as though she knew what to do. What happens when you stub your paw? She asked Pebbleheart. It hurts? He stared at her, puzzled. What else? It swells up. Exactly. Mothflight rested her paws low on Juniper Branch's belly. Heat pulsed from the queen's fur. Something was inflamed. Her body's not ready yet. I can feel where she's swollen, and each time she pushes, it gets worse. The swelling is blocking the kit's way out. She has to stop pushing long enough for it to go down. So they'll have room to come out. Pebbleheart's eyes widened with understanding. Juniper Branch growled. Another pain is coming. Keep panting. Mothflight darted out of the den and scanned the clearing. Her heart leaped as she saw a thick pine twig lying at the edge. Racing to it, she snatched it between her jaws and headed back to the den. She thrust the twig into Juniper Branch's jaws. Bite on this when the pain comes. Put all your energy into biting, not pushing. Juniper Branch screwed up her eyes. A low moan rolled in her throat. The wood cracked between her jaws as she bit down hard. We're gonna need more sticks, Mothflight told Pebbleheart. He nodded and ducked out of the den. Mothflight lapped Juniper Branch's belly with her tongue, relieved to feel no spasms reach the kits. Don't worry, kids, she murmured between strokes. We'll have you out of there before long. Juniper Branch fell limp. Mothflight jerked her muzzle around and stared at the queen. Her eyes were glazed with exhaustion, but the spasms had clearly passed. The crushed pine twig lay on the ground next to her. Well done, she meowed. You didn't push that time. Juniper Branch drew in a deep breath and closed her eyes. This is going to be difficult, Mothflight told her. You need to stop yourself from pushing for a while longer, just until there's enough space for the kits to get out. It's hard, Juniper Branch moaned. I know. Mothflight felt a wave of sympathy for the queen, but you have to do it, for your kits, and yourself. She held Juniper Branch's fearful gaze. We're gonna help you. As she spoke, Pebbleheart slid into the den. He dropped the fresh twig on the ground. Halcyon and Mudpaws are scouring the forest for more. Have you got any poppy seeds? A pang of guilt jabbed Mothflight's belly. Had she eaten his whole supply that first night? Dabblepelt brought 2 leaf wraps, he told her. Fetch what you've got, Mothflight ordered. We need to ease her pain. I'll bring time as well. It'll calm her. Good idea. Mothflight met his gaze, relieved that they were facing this together. As Pebbleheart disappeared again, Juniper Branch began to moan. Here comes another one. Mothflight gripped the fresh twig and slipped it between Juniper Branch's jaws. Remember, focus on your breathing. The pain will pass before you know it. She rested her paws gently on Juniper Branch's belly as the queen stiffened, with the effort of not pushing. No! The small movements inside were weakening. Hang on, kits, it won't be long now. She hoped she was right. Spasm after spasm gripped the queen. Mothflight soothed her as she fought each one. Pebbleheart returned with poppy seeds in time. Juniper Branch swallowed both, and when Ravenpelt brought the water-soaked mocks, she lapped at it thirstily. Why did it take him so long to get that? Is she gonna be okay? Ravenpelt gazed fearfully at his mate. Pebbleheart nosed him towards the den entrance. We'll do the best we can, he promised. As the Black Tom let himself be guided out, Mudpaws stuck his head inside and dropped the bundle of pine twigs. Thank you! Mothflight nodded gratefully to the Tom and quickly thrust one of the twigs between Juniper Branch's jaws. Another spasm was coming. She pressed her paws low on the queen's belly. The kits were hardly moving inside, but there was no heat pulsing from her fur. Had the swelling gone down? She caught Pebbleheart's eyes as he came back. Feel this. She moved away and let him place his paw where hers had been. Less swelling, right? He nodded slowly, eyes narrowing with alarm. He lowered his voice to a whisper. But I can hardly feel the kits moving. I know. Mothflight leaned in close to his ear. She needs to start pushing now or we'll lose them. But what if it's too soon? It'll be too late if we leave it any longer. Pebbleheart gazed at her darkly. I agree. He pulled his paws away and ducked down beside Juniper Branch's head. When you get to the next spasm, we want you to push. Really? Relief sparked in Juniper Branch's gaze. She gasped, her body stiffening. Mothflight swapped looks with Pebbleheart. StarClan, help us. A fresh spasm swept Juniper Branch. The queen moaned with effort and pushed. Mothflight placed her paws on the queen's belly and felt her bear down. Pebbleheart crouched at the queen's tail. I see something coming! Excitement edged his mew. Keep pushing, Mothflight urged. Juniper Branch's moan turned to a growl as she gritted her teeth with effort. Why isn't she biting on another stick? Pebbleheart gasped. It's here! Mothflight darted to his side and stared at the tiny shape between the queen's tail. A membrane covered it, and Mothflight instinctively reached out and sliced it open with a claw. Fluid spilled out as the wet kit struggled free, mewling as it gulped its first breath. Juniper Branch lifted her head, straining to see. Mothflight grabbed the kit by its scruff and placed it beside her muzzle. As she reached to lick it, her eyes shining with joy, another spasm seized her. Push! Mothflight told her sharply. She rested her paws on Juniper Branch's belly once more, feeling it convulse. Another one! Pebbleheart's mew was jubilant. Jubilant! Mothflight rushed to see. He'd split open the membrane by the time she reached it. A purr throbbed in her throat as the kit wriggled and mewled. Lifting it gently, she placed it beside the first. How many more? Mothflight ran up her paw over the queen's belly, feeling movement inside. Another one at least, she spoke. Juniper Branch jerked with pain. She shuddered, panting as she pushed. It's coming, Pebbleheart urged. Juniper Branch pushed again. The kit squealed and wriggled blindly beside her cheek. I think this is the last one. Mothflight glanced at Pebbleheart as Juniper Branch fell limp. The movement inside her belly had stopped. We did it! The StratoClan medicine cat was staring down. What's wrong? Mothflight darted to his side. It was a she-kit. He mewed softly. The kit lay on her split membrane, motionless. Mothflight's heart lurched, and she stared at the limp body. She thought of Emberkit, who died moments after he'd been born. StarClan, help it! She reached out a paw and touched the lifeless kit's pelt. She was smaller than her litter mates, her pale gray fur slick beneath Mothflight's pelt. She leaned down and sniffed her tiny muzzle. She's not breathing, she whispered. Like drizzle. Pebbleheart blinked at her. What do you mean? Mothflight touched a paw to the tiny kit's ribs. She might have water inside her chest. Pebbleheart looked confused. Do you know how to help her? Mothflight rolled the kit onto her back and placed her paws on her chest. I think so, but she's so small. The kit felt as fragile as a sparrow. How hard dare she push? She began to pump, gently at first, and then, as she felt the easy resilience of the kit beneath her paws, harder. What's happening? Juniper Branch was reaching her muzzle around to see, her eyes wide. Take care of the other two, Pebbleheart told her. We'll take care of this one. Is it dead? The queen's mew was thick with fear. We don't know. Pebbleheart moved, blocking the queen's view as Mothflight kept working on the kit. What are you doing to it? Alarm edged Juniper Branch's mew. She tried to struggle to her paws, but fell back, weak with exhaustion. Ravenpelt darted into the den. What's going on? Mothflight didn't look at the black tom, but kept pumping the kit's chest. Am I doing the right thing? Was Half Moon watching? Breathe! Please breathe! Fear sparked beneath her pelt. Ravenpelt shouldered his way past Pebbleheart. What are you doing? He stared at Mothflight, his eyes round with horror. As he spoke, the kit jerked and water bubbled at her lips. Mothflight flipped her over quickly and began to massage her back as the kit spewed up liquid. Then it mewed a loud, desperate mewl. Ah. Mothflight sat back on her haunches, joy lighting her like sunshine. Trembling, she met Pebbleheart's gaze. You saved her. Pebbleheart's eyes shone. The kit flailed its paws and mewed again. I think she wants her mother. Mothflight backed away and let Ravenpelt scoop up the kit by her scruff. He placed it beside the others and gazed proudly at Juniper Branch. They're beautiful. Mothflight suddenly realized how wary she was. Juniper Branch must be exhausted. We should get her into her nest, she murmured to Pebbleheart. I'll see to that, Pebbleheart told her. You look worn out. Mothflight blinked at him gratefully. I am. Her gaze drifted to Juniper Branch and Ravenpelt. They were gazing at their kits, and then each other, with eyes warm with love. Mothflight's heart twisted, grief stabbing her so suddenly it took her breath away. She and Micah would never share such joy. Weak with sorrow, she heaved herself onto her paws and padded out of the den. Behind her, the kits mewed while Ravenpelt and Juniper Branch purred. The happiness Mothflight had felt that, as the kit had come to life beneath her paws, disappeared like mist in the wind. Oh, Micah, I miss you so much. Loss hollowed her heart once more. She longed to stop grieving, but how could she? She could never have the life she'd planned with Micah, only emptiness and long days alone. She felt as though all her dreams had died with him. Rest in peace.
Hi, Ashley. Hi, William Afton. Sorry for a late reply.
If I summarized how many births I have read through this series, it would definitely be more than 10. Why? Why? Literally in every single book, I bet. Too many. The miracle of life and death sometimes. Sit with you in bed. Chapter 25. Mothflight scanned the nettle patch. She loved this part of the pine forest. Gaps in the canopy let narrow strips of sunshine reach the mossy forest floor, and nettles thrived in the rare light. Pebbleheart was waiting for her beneath the ditches that rutted the ground beyond the rise. She'd been with ShadowClan for nearly a moon now, and lately had been helping him gather herbs for his store. She was used to the gloom, although the tang of pine snap had begun to make her queasy. She wasn't ready to go home. She stretched her muzzle forward and nipped through the base of a fat-looking nettle stem. Then she dragged it over the rise, careful to stay clear of the shivering leaves. I think we have enough. Pebbleheart stepped out of her way as she neared the ditch, leaving room for her to drop it over the ledge. It landed on top of the others and began to wilt slowly into the muddy water. Are the ones we soaked yesterday finished? She asked. Pebbleheart leaped to the next ditch and reached his paws into the next. Yes, he called over his shoulder. No string left. Mothflight shook out her fur. I wonder if drying the nettles would get rid of the sting. Drying herbs is so easy on the moor. Pebbleheart hulled a dripping stem and laid it on the ground. There's plenty of wind and sunshine up there. It's too damp to dry herbs here. How are you going to get through Leaf Bear without a store of dry herbs? Dapplepelt asked me the same question last night. Pebbleheart glanced at her as he hooked another stem from the ditch. Mothflight felt a flash of guilt. She'd missed the half-moon gathering at the Moonstone. What did you tell her? I asked if she could dry some herbs for ShadowClan. She realized that he was looking at her hopefully. Would you dry some too? When he returned to the moor? There was a question in his eyes. Do you want me to leave? Pebbleheart must have seen worry darken her gaze. I mean, when you're ready. Will I ever be ready? The ShadowClan cats asked nothing of her. They brought her prey and dipped their heads respectfully. They talked about everyday things like how the prey was running or how soon Greenleaf was coming this year. Being among them was easy. Her own clanmates would be more inquisitive. They'd ask about Micah. They'd expect her to return to her medicine cat duties. Mothlight's belly tightened. She wasn't ready to look after anyone yet. When she didn't answer, Pebbleheart glanced down at the nettle stems. We missed you at the Moonstone last night. I wanted to come with you. She had. She knew deep in her belly that being a medicine cat was her destiny, and helping the ShadowClan medicine cat was renewing her confidence. She had a sense of purpose once more, and satisfaction in her work had distracted her from her grief. Since Juniper Branch had kidded, she'd kept a close eye on the kids. She'd taken Pebbleheart to the edge of the oak forest to gather borage to make sure that Juniper Branch had enough milk for them. But she'd felt so weary in the past moon, she crept, exhausted, to her nest every night. The thought of the long trek to the high stones had been daunting. And, if she was being honest with herself, perhaps she wasn't ready to see Micah among the StarClan cats. That means he's really gone. I was tired. I understand. Pebbleheart's gaze flickered over her belly. He had noticed that her days of resting, eating prey which other cats had caught, had begun to show in her swollen flanks. Or had he noticed? Perhaps it was time she pulled herself together and went back to her clan. Her grief had lost the raw power that had silenced her for days at a time. But she still woke trembling in the night, her longing for Micah so strong that her heart roared in her ears. I'm not going to stop being a medicine cat, she reassured him. I didn't think you would. He began to straighten the nettle stems. The other medicine cats know that, don't they? Of course. He plucked the stringy, old grass stems from the edge of the ditch and threaded it under the bundle he made. They told me to tell you not to worry about missing the meeting. They understood. Did StarClan visit with you? Mothflight had been avoiding the question since Pebbleheart returned at dawn. Had Micah been there? She didn't want to know. If he had, having missed him would break her heart all over again. If he hadn't, she'd worry that he would never be part of their ranks. But she had to know if StarClan had a message for her. Half Moon came alone, Pebbleheart told her. She only stayed long enough to tell us to look after you. Mothlight blinked at him. Hadn't she said anything about Micah? Was that all? Yeah. Pebbleheart wrapped the grass stem around the bundle. Acorn Fur was disappointed. She expected to see her ancestors. Mothflight stiffened, irritation prickling beneath her pelt. Acorn Fur was there? Pebbleheart threaded the grass around the stems again, pulling them tightly together. She's SkyClan's medicine cat now. She's a spy! Mothlight snapped. Clear Sky told her to watch Micah because he didn't trust him. That might be true, Pebbleheart looked up. Micah taught her a lot. She knows more about healing than any other SkyClan cat, and she likes it. Besides, he paused, avoiding her gaze. I've had dreams about her healing her clanmates. You knew she'd become the other medicine cat? Outrage flared in Mothflight's belly. Why didn't you warn me? I never knew. Pebbleheart corrected her. I have lots of dreams. They don't all turn out to be visions. He met her gaze steadily. Seeing Acorn Fur giving herbs to a sick cat isn't the same as knowing Micah would die. Even if I'd guessed he would die, would you have really wanted to know? I could have. He cut her off. What? Changed his destiny? Loved him more? Mothlight stared at him, wordless. If she had known, would she have done anything differently? Her time with Micah had been wonderful. Would she have really wanted the shadow of his death looming over those perfect days? Pebbleheart's muse softened. I was worried you didn't come to the Moonstone because you blamed StarClan for letting him die. She blinked at him. I did blame them, she admitted, but it's not why I didn't go. Do you still blame them? Mothlight shook her head. Even if they'd known his destiny, they might have been powerless to change it. And you're right. What would I have done if I'd known? As she spoke, Pebbleheart's gaze flicked past her shoulder. She stiffened as she saw his hackles rise. Opening her mouth, she tasted the air. Cat scents were billowing behind her. She turned, flattening her ears. 2 cats padded from among the trees.
Mothlight!
A plump black and white farm cat called out to her. The brown Tom at her side swished his tail. We thought we'd never find you.
Cow!
Mothflight hurried towards them, her heart quickening with delight. Cow's gaze was rimmed with sadness. We heard about Micah. They seem to already know. Mouse's tail drooped. Did he suffer? Mothlight stopped in her tracks, her mew catching in her throat as she remembers Micah's last moments. Not for long, she managed to mew. Cow weaved around her, her soft pelt brushing warmly against Mothlight's fur. Mouse dipped his head to Pebbleheart. I hope you don't mind us coming, he meowed. We crossed the moor looking for Micah. A cat named Gorsford told us about the accident. Cow held Mothlight's gaze, her eyes brimming with sadness. He said you were with him till the end. Mothlight wondered for a moment if they blamed her for taking Micah away. The cow wrapped her tail over Mothlight's spine, her gaze warm with sympathy. It must have been very hard for you. At least I was with him. Her throat tightened as she remembered. She swallowed back grief, noticing their dusty pelts. You must be tired. It's a long journey from the farm. Pebbleheart padded forward. Come back to the camp and rest. He glanced at a bunch of stems. I need to get these back before they start to rot. Cow stared at the sodden bundle. Why are you gathering wet nettles? Mouse glanced around the shadowy pine forest, puzzled. Oh, sorry, that was the girl.
Why are you gathering wet nettles?
Isn't there any prey here? There's plenty, Pebbleheart purred. I'm collecting nettles in case one of my clanmates gets sick. Cow blinked. Will stinging them help? Mothflight's whiskers twitched with amusement. They don't sting now that we've soaked them. They help soothe wounds, and if you eat them, they'll ease aching bones. You seem a lot smarter than when we first met. Cow winked at Pebbleheart. She chatted across the field while the farm dog was herding sheep. Mothflight purred, remembering. Micah saved me. Cow caught her eyes. You must miss him. I do, she answered huskily. We were mates. Cow pressed her muzzle to Mothflight's cheek. Pebbleheart flicked his tail towards the brambles showing among the pines. The camp's not far. He picked up one end of the grass stem between his teeth and began to drag the nettle bundle across the forest floor. Mouse hurried to grab the trailing end. Thank you for the follow, Sanders.
Hi, Darn. Hi, Joey.
Cow fell in beside Mothflight. How long since Micah died? A moon, Mothflight told her softly. They walked on, sharing their grief in silence. As they neared the camp, Ravenpelt padded from the entrance, tasting the air. His gaze flashed towards them, narrowing as he saw Mouse and Cow. Mothflight hurried to meet him. They're friends, she explained. They lived on the same farm as Micah. Tall Shadow slid out of camp, her nose twitching. Do we have visitors? Cow dipped her head to the Shadow Clan leader. We came to see Mothflight. Come in and share some prey, Tall Shadow told her. It's running well at the moment. There's more than we can eat. She led Cow into camp, the scent of fresh kill heavy in the air. Mothflight and Ravenpelt followed at her heels, while Mouse and Pebbleheart dragged the nettles after them. 3 kits looked up from the long grass where Juniper Branch was resting. The biggest, a black Tom with an orange tail, blinked at them.
Look, Dusknose!
He nudged the she-kit beside him.
Visitors!
He dashed across the clearing. Dusknose, a black and orange tortoiseshell, followed.
Who are you?
She called to Cow.
Are you a clan cat?
Another Tom hurried after them, his dappled brown pelt perfectly camouflaged against the shady forest floor. Mothflight purred. This is Cow, she explained. She and Mouse were friends with Micah.
I'm Dangling Leaf.
Dangling Leaf? The orange-tailed Tom scrambled to a halt in front of Cow.
I'm Dust Nose,
His sister mewed. The dappled brown Tom stepped beside them.
I'm Shade Pelt.
Dangling Leaf tipped his head.
Do you know Micah's dead?
He asked Cow. Mothflight flinched, but Cow returned his inquisitive gaze steadily. Yes. Dustnose nudged her brother.
You can't ask questions like that, Shade Pelt. It's rude. Raven Pelt says we can ask anything we like.
Dangling Leaf mewed back. Shade Pelt sniffed.
He also says we have to know when to be quiet or we'll never be good hunters.
He blinked at Mothflight.
Do you mind us talking about Micah?
Mothflight ignored the sadness prickling her chest. No. It wouldn't change anything to pretend Micah had never existed. It wouldn't hurt any less. Dangling Leaf was still staring at Cow.
Why do you come if Micah's dead?
We came to see Mothflight, Cow told him. Dusknose lifted her chin.
Are you her friends too?
Yes. Cow gazed around the camp. This looks very cozy. Behind them, Mouse was helping Pebbleheart hoist the nettle stems high into the bramble wall of the camp to drain. The nettles dangled from the prickly branches and dripped muddy water onto the ground. I have my own den, Mothflight told her.
You've got Sun Shadow's den,
Shadepelt corrected her. Mothflight shifted her paws. That's true. Sunshadow's letting me use his den until I go home. Cow blinked at her. This isn't your home? Tall Shadow answered for her. She lives on the moor. Cow glanced at Mothflight's belly. Will you go home to have your kids? I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Mothflight stared at her. I'm not having kids. Are you sure, dear? Cow tipped her head sympathetically. Mothflight froze. Could I be having kids? Surely she'd know. Then she remembered. Her tiredness, her queasiness. She glanced at Tall Shadow, shock pulsing through her pelt. The clan leader dropped her gaze. Pebbleheart patted closer, his ears twitching. We thought you knew. We thought you knew you were pregnant. Mothflight's paws seemed to root into the ground. The camp swam around her. I didn't think. Her mind whirled. I've never had kids before. No. You're still basically a kid. She thought that her easy life in Shadow Clan was making her fat. Tall Shadow blinked. We thought you were happy to have something left of Micah. Micah's kids. Mothflight's heart seemed to turn in her chest. She was carrying Micah's kids. Cow purred loudly. They'll be as handsome and brave as their father. Kids! Growing inside of her! I can't! She backed away, shocked. She could hardly take care of herself. How could she be responsible for new lives? Her thoughts flashed back to Slate's kids, lost on the moor because of her. Then she remembered Juniper Branch's kidding. The pain! The ground seemed to sway beneath her paws. Cow pressed against her. It's the most natural thing in the world. Mothflight's thoughts swirled. I need to go home. The need tugged deeply in her belly. I have to see Windrunner. Suddenly she wanted to nestle among her kin and shelter in their warmth. Tall Shadow dipped her head. Someone must escort you, she meowed firmly. You shouldn't travel alone. I'll be fine, Mothflight answered, still dazed from the shock. Pebbleheart stepped forward. I'll take her. Mothflight looked at him blankly. Can we go now? Her gaze flitted distractedly to Cow and Mouse. I'm sorry to leave you. You've only just arrived, but... Cloud's eyes rounded with sympathy. We understand. Tall Shadow flicked her tail. We'll make sure they are fed and rested before they head home. Mothflight hardly heard the Shadow Clan leader. Her thoughts were already racing towards the moor where her clanmates were waiting for her. How could she have stayed away so long? I've been so selfish, she murmured to herself as she headed for the camp entrance. Pebbleheart caught up to her and fell in step beside her. Perhaps you should have some time before we go, he suggested quietly. You seem shocked. I'm okay. Mothflight fixed her gaze ahead. It didn't matter if she was shocked. She had to be strong now. She was carrying Micah's kits. Nothing was more important than that. Bum, bum, bum. We've been knowing. We've been knowing. My mouse can move so fast. Doo-da, doo-da. Oh, doo-da day. Sorry, I'm reading something.
Booby dooby dooby booby woo. Hummy dummy dummy wubbaloo.
Dang.
I don't know what's wrong with my tongue. Like, I feel like I didn't burn it, but it
feels dry for some reason, and I don't know why.
I don't know why it feels so dry.
Alright, next chapter. Chapter 26. Mothlight struggled for breath as she walked beside Pebbleheart. Let's slow down, he urged. She shook her head. I want to go home. She padded from the pines and stopped beside the thunder path. The stone trail was deserted. The stale stench of monster made Mothflight feel sick. I've become so weak. I think it's because you're carrying kits. Pebbleheart paused on the grassy verge. Juniper Branch could hardly cross the clearing without panting by the end. But I've got another moon to go. Mothlight hurried onto the... Are cats only pregnant for 2 months? How long are cats pregnant for? Dang, that's fast. No wonder there's so many cats overpopulating. Your search history must be crazy. What is my search history right now? It won't show me. What's my search history? Okay, it's just how long a cat's pregnant for. I don't want to feel better. Penelope Scott, Symmetry Minecraft mod.
It's not that weird, okay?
It used to be really weird when I was writing constantly because I was like looking up a lot of weird stuff. Sometimes, depending on the day, like if I'm doing a chatting stream and I'm asking questions a lot, sometimes my history gets a little weird. Pebbleheart followed her, tactfully changing the subject. Your clanmates will have missed you. Do you think? She turned as she reached the far side. Would they feel she'd been disloyal by staying away for so long? They'll be glad you're home. Pebbleheart bounded up the short, steep slope onto the moor side. Mothfight struggled after him, stopping at the top to catch her breath.
Thank you for the follow, Sushi!
She gazed across the heather. Its blossom had turned the moorside purple. Wind swept around her, lifting her fur. She closed her eyes, relishing the sensation. The dark pines had shielded her for too long. I should have come home earlier. You waited until you were ready. Pebbleheart headed up slope. Mothlight followed, surprised by the silkiness of the grass beneath her paws. One day her kits would run here. Excitement flickered in her chest. Was she really going to be a mother? To Micah's kits? Joy swamped her. Grief would no longer be her only link to him. Soon she'd have his kits. She'd watch them grow. She'd tell them about their brave and handsome father. He would live on through them. I'll have to raise them alone. The idea daunted her, but the closer she got home, the more she felt she would be okay. Windrunner will always knows what to do. She glanced at Pebbleheart, his gray pelt ruffled by the breeze. Thank you for being so kind to me. He slowed to let her catch up. I didn't do anything, really. Yes, you did. She remembered all the times he'd brought her prey, how often she'd woken to find water-soaked moss on her side of the nest, how gently he'd encouraged her to help gather herbs and mix poultices. Thanks to him, she'd lost none of her skills. Indeed, he taught her so much. He was such a wise, serious cat, a dreamer in his own way, but not as easily distracted as she was. She admired him and had grown fond of him. He was almost like a clanmate. True, Pebbleheart rules. As her thoughts drifted, movement caught her eye. She looked down at the grassy slope and saw cats stalking along the SkyClan border. Their pelts showed among the trees, moving slowly through the ferns. Oh! Tensions had been rising while she was away. She halted, narrowing her gaze as she recognized thorn, birch, and nettle. I wonder what they're doing, she called to Pebbleheart. Pebbleheart followed her gaze. 3 cats had stopped. I just use an SMB. I guess it's not like true ASMR with like the ear mics, but because people sometimes use like reading things as ASMR, that's why I'm using it. Pebbleheart followed her gaze. The 3 cats had stopped. Birch was marking a tree with a scent. It's a border patrol. Mothfight blinked at him. A what? Clear Sky's given orders that his borders are to be checked daily and fresh markings left. Anger flared in Mothfight's belly. Does he still insist on borders? She could hardly believe any cat would be so rabbit-brained. He says cats belong in their own territory, Pebbleheart murmured. So Micah died for nothing. Mothfight flattened her ears. Doesn't he realize that Micah would never have died if he hadn't been so bothered about his borders? Pebbleheart avoided her gaze. He says Micah would never have died if you hadn't crossed the border with him. Mothfight trembled with fury. How dare he? Don't let it upset you, Pebbleheart begged. If Clear Sky wants to fuss about his borders, then let him. His gaze slid past her. She jerked her muzzle around, following it, and saw Willowtail and Eagle Feather watching the SkyClan patrol from a distant rocky outcrop. Don't they have anything better to do? She snapped. They should be feeding their clan, not watching borders. She broke into a trot, heading for the hollow. Pebbleheart hurried after her. Let Windrunner worry about it, he told her. You're a medicine cat, not a hunter. Borders aren't your problem. As he spoke, a gray and white pelt showed against the heather upslope. Mothfight recognized it at once. Swift Minnow! The sight of her clanmate distracted her from her anger. Swift Minnow squinted at them, lifting her tail suddenly and breaking into a run. Mothfight, is that you? She sprinted towards them, meowing happily, and skidded to a halt a tail length away. She stared, her eyes rounding as she saw Mothfight's swollen flanks. You're expecting kits! Joy lit up her gaze. Are they Micah's? Yes. Mothfight purred. We were beginning to think you were never coming home. Swift Minnow cast an anxious glance towards the hollow. I needed time to grieve, Mothfight explained. The heather rustled behind Swift Minnow as Slate padded out. She pricked her ears as she saw Moth flight. You're back. Dying over here. Oh no! Dang. I don't know how to fix coughs. Maybe you have like some sort of infection in your... Do you feel it in your chest or is it in your throat?
Welcome back, Toast.
Mothflight felt a rush of happiness. The grieving queen looked well, her eyes brighter than they'd been in moons. How's Whitetail? She called. Have Silverstripe and Blackear been behaving themselves? They're all fine. Slate hurried towards them. You'd hardly recognize them. They're grown so much. She slowed, her ears pricking. You're expecting. Swift Minnow plucked at the grass excitedly. They're Micah's kits, she told her friend. Slate wove around Mothflight, purring happily. Have you come home for good? I want my kids to grow up on the moor. Mothflight told her. Oh, they're so happy to see her. Hurry up. Swift Minnow ducked into the heather. Let's go back to camp. Mothflight noticed Pebbleheart hesitate. I'll go home now that I know you're safe. He meowed shyly. Are you sure? Mothflight gazed at him fondly. Yeah. He flicked his tail and began to head down slope. Take care. Send for me when the kids come. Bye, Pebbleheart. Slate was nudging Mothflight towards the heather. Wait until Gorsfer sees you. He's been so worried. Mothflight followed Swift Minnow's trail, zigzagging between the bushes until she emerged into the stretch of grass outside the camp entrance. As the sense of home swept over her, her pelt rippled with pleasure. Swift Minnow had already disappeared inside, and Mothflight followed her, her heart beating loudly in her chest. Mothflight! Muzzle was the first to come bounding across the Thusaki clearing. Spotted Fur and Fernleaf hurried after him, their eyes bright. They scrambled to a halt in front of her, staring at her belly. I'm expecting Micah's kits. She glanced anxiously at Spotted Fur. Was he still jealous? Spotted Fur blinked at her, then purred. Congratulations! Aw. Relief washed over her. Fernleaf purred and murmured, How exciting! As Muzzle pressed his nose to her cheek. I'm glad you're home. Gorsefur was crossing the clearing towards them, Rocky lumbering behind. Mothflight felt a flicker of worry as she saw the old cat. Are you better? She called. She should have been here, taking care of him. I'm as healthy as a fox, he rumbled. Gorsefur stepped beside her. I knew you couldn't stay in that dark old forest forever. He weaved around her while Rocky stared at her proudly. I'm glad you're back, the old Tom rumbled. Retail won't let me have catmint. Mothflight stiffened. Had Rocky been exaggerating? Was he still sick? Do you need some? Rocky glanced at his paws. I don't need it, but sometimes I get a sore throat, and a little catmint always makes me feel better. Roaches wants to get high. Retail was stalking towards them, his ears pricked. The only reason you get a sore throat is from snoring so loudly. He patted past the old Tom and greeted Mothflight with a nod. Thanks, StarClan, you're back. I run off my paws trying to find herbs, and if Silverstripe ever makes it through a day without getting a scratch or a graze, I'll be amazed. Mothflight's whiskers twitched with amusement. Where are the kids? She gasped as she saw 3 young cats bounding towards her. She recognized their pelts, but they were so big. Silverstripe! Blackear! They looked old enough to hunt. Whitetail, you've grown so handsome. The gray and white kit had his father's broad shoulders and Slate's soft amber gaze. Aw, Grey Wing. The kitty winkies, yeah. Blackear's handsome too, Silverstripe told her proudly. Of course he is. Mothflight looked admiringly at Blackear before purring at Silverstripe. And you're as beautiful as your mother. Who cares if I'm beautiful? Silverstripe stuck her nose in the air. Beauty doesn't help with hunting, and I'm going to be the best hunter in WindClan. I can't believe it. Oh, I can believe it. Mothflight nosed her way through her clanmates and headed across the clearing. How's my den? I hope no rain's gotten in. My herbs should be good and dry by now, although I need to pick fresh ones. Cloudspot says fresh herbs work better. Reedtail fell in step beside her. I've been using your den, he confessed. It seemed best since I was being medicine cat while you were away. Mothflight caught his eye. gratitude flooding her. Thank you so much, she mewed earnestly. I'm sorry I left you responsible for everything. I just couldn't face. Her mew trailed away as a sudden wave of grief slapped against her like cold water. The familiar faces and scents had carried her back to a time before Micah had died. She swallowed. Reedtail shot her a look. You'll feel at home again in no time, he promised. Yes, she answered huskily. She stopped outside her den, her clanmates watching from beyond the tussocks. They looked so pleased to see her. Her heart swelled with thanks. Then she spotted two pairs of eyes staring from the shadows of Jagged Peak's den. Her fur prickled anxiously. Holly and Jagged Peak hadn't wanted her to leave. She stayed away for a whole moon. Taking a deep breath, she headed towards them. Jagged Peak ducked outside first, his ears twitching. Hollow followed, her gaze cool. A grieving cat should stay with her. Okay. A grieving cat should stay with her clan. Says Holly and Jagged Peak, who left their clan to move in with Greywing's clan? Though, hello? You left them. What do you mean? Jagged Peak glanced at Mothlight's belly. Are you carrying his kits? Micah's? Mothlight narrowed her eyes. Yes, and I'm proud of it. He was a SkyClan cat, Jagged Peak grunted. Mothlight glared at him. He was a farm cat too. Does that make it better or worse? Jagged Peak. Stormpelt charged across the clearing. He stopped in front of his father and mother and blinked at them. You should be happy she's come home. Holly sniffed. Why did she bother? She's been away from WindClan so long. She doesn't even smell like a WindClan cat anymore. What did they do to them? What the heck? Stormpelt lifted his chin. She's the one who found the moonstone. Aren't you proud she's our clanmate? Will their kits be our clanmates too? Holly muttered, even though they carry SkyClan blood and farm cat blood. When have they been bloodists? Blood elites? I cannot believe what I'm reading. At least their son's like, bruh, what is wrong with you guys? Stormpelt faced his mother, pelt prickling. You weren't born WindClan. His gaze flashed towards his father. And you are a mountain cat who left his tribe. Touché. Actually, to be fair, Holly was a rogue, and then WindClan, and then ShadowClan, and then WindClan again. To be fair, Jagged and to be even more fair, Jagged Peak was WindClan, SkyClan, WindClan, ShadowClan, WindClan. So, can you? It doesn't make sense. They could have given that trait to anyone else, but not them. It doesn't make sense. Mothlight shifted her paws uncomfortably. She didn't want to cause an argument between kin. I get no idea how you can keep all of that. I just remember. My special interest is warrior cats, so I remember everything. Well, not everything, but a lot of things. Holly eyed her kits doubtfully. How do we know she won't leave again? I won't. Mothlight promised. Mothlight! Her mother's mew rang across the clearing. She turned to see the WindClan leader bounding towards her. Windrunner skidded to a halt and thrust her muzzle against Mothlight's chin. You're home at last! A sigh shuddered through her. She drew back, her gaze darkening. Did you travel here by yourself? I hope you were careful near the SkyClan border. They've been raiding the moor for rabbits again. Of course, Clear Sky denies it, but... She stopped and stared at Mothlight. You're expecting kits! Mothlight sat down, letting her belly bulge. They're doing a moon. Micah's? Windrunner tipped her head. Of course. Mothlight purred. Did her mother think they could be anyone else's? Let's hope they take after you. Windrunner lowered her voice. Michael was a little too sure of himself. Mothlight met her mother's gaze calmly. And you're not, I suppose. Windrunner's eyes widened with surprise. Then she purred. My little kid has grown claws. Mothlight glanced down at her belly. I need to, she mewed. I've got my own kits to protect.
Thank you for the follow, Big Black Beefy.
Windrunner swished her tail, pride warming her gaze. You must be tired after your journey. Let's see you settled in your nest. Mothlight got to her paws, suddenly realizing how wary she felt. She snatched a look at Jagged Peak and Holly, hoping that they'd be less prickly once they saw that she was here to stay. They avoided her gaze, their pelts ruffled. Terrible. Mothlight purred. Oh, wait, sorry. Windrunner nudged her towards her den. I'm so glad you're back. Mothlight purred. It felt good to be home, and Windrunner was pleased to see her. The warmth in her mother's mew reassured her that from now on, everything was going to be fine. Mothlight rolled a wad of borage leaves into a bundle and slotted them into a small gap in the gorse at the back of her den. She relished in the coolness here. Outside, early green leaf sunshine was scorching the camp. The scent of herbs washed over her as she thanked StarClan that she'd stopped feeling queasy. The kits were due any day and her— oh my god! Time skip! A month later! Her kits were due any day and her belly was so swollen that she felt as clumsy as a toad. She sat back on her haunches and looked approvingly at the array of herbs poking out from between the branches. You've done well, she blinked at Reedtail. The silver tabby Tom sat down and tucked his tail over his herb-stained paws. You've taught me so much. In the moons since she'd returned to the WindClan camp, Mothlight had shared with him all she'd learned from the other medicine cats. When the kits come, she guessed that there would be times when she'd be too busy to tend to her clan, and she wanted him to be prepared to take her place. And so she had spent nearly every day with him, scouring the moor for herbs and teaching him their names as they gathered them for her store. She glanced at her nest now, wondering when the kits would come. She had woven extra heather to make it larger, and lined it thickly with moss. She shifted as a twinge in her belly made her wince. Reedtail stiffened. Are you okay? I'm fine, Mothlight told him. The kits are just fidgety today. As she spoke, fur brushed the gorse entrance. Rocky padded into the den, blinking as his eyes adjusted to the gloom. My chest feels a bit tight. He looked at her hopefully. Can you spare some catmint? He's hooked! He's hooked! Mothlight heaved herself to her paws and crossed the den. She pressed her ear against his flank and listened for bubbling inside his chest. His breath was clear. She looked at him sternly. You're as fit as a flea. I can't waste catmint on healthy cats. I'd have to travel to Two Leg Place to fetch more. I could fetch you some. I know Two Leg Place well. I used to live there, remember? That's a kind offer. She wouldn't put it past the old Tom to travel to Two Leg Place in search of catmint. But let younger cats fetch the herbs. Your paws are too stiff to climb the wooden walls. Rocky's eyes brightened. Does catmint help with stiff paws? Mothlight's whiskers twitched with amusement. No, but I can give you some comfrey. Reedtail and I have picked some fresh leaves this morning. Rocky wrinkled his nose. No thanks. The stiffness doesn't bother me that much, and Mothlight didn't hear the rest of his words. Pain pulsed through her as a spasm gripped her belly. She gasped, swaying. Are the kits coming? Reedtail raced to her side. I think so. She curled her claws into the ground, bracing herself against the pain. Send someone to fetch Pebbleheart. She puffed. He knows what to do. Another birth? I'm gonna read 2 births in one stream? Jeez, that's too many. Reedtail haired from the den and left Rocky staring at her nervously. Do you want to lie down in your nest? He asked hesitantly. No! Mothlight glared at him as another spasm crushed her belly. That's a lot of kitty babies. She began to pace, a growl rolling deep in her throat. Focus on your breathing. She remembered the advice she'd given Juniper Brands and tried to concentrate on each breath. What if she wasn't ready? What if the kits got stuck? What if they died like Amber Kit? Her thoughts began to whirl. She stopped and stared at Rocky, panic sparking through her pelt. Rocky blinked at her. I'll get Windrunner. He ducked out of the den. Mothflight moaned, shocked by the pain gripping her belly. She began pacing again, not sure what to do with herself. She couldn't bear the thought of sitting still. Moving distracted her, but she felt weak with the pain. She lay down as another spasm shuddered through her body. Then she scrambled to her paws, frightened at feeling so helpless. Mothflight! Windrunner's mew sounded at the den entrance. Her mother hurried into the den and pressed her muzzle to Mothflight's cheek. Don't be scared, she murmured. Everything's gonna be okay. Dustmuzzle's on his way to fetch Pebbleheart. And Slate will be here in a moment. We're gonna look after you until Pebbleheart arrives. Mothflight leaned against her mother, relief swamping her. I don't know what to do, she whimpered. Just keep pacing until you can lie down. Windrunner drew away and looked into Mothflight's eyes. You're not the first cat to have kits. You'll be fine. But it hurts. Mothflight was startled by the intensity of the pain. Windrunner's eyes glistened with sympathy. You won't remember it afterwards, I promise. That doesn't help me now! Mothflight snapped back. Another spasm was coming. She closed her eyes as it swept over her. When it had passed, she gazed blearily at her mother. How long will it take? Not long, Windrunner soothed. Not long at all. Paw steps sounded at the den entrance, and Slate hurried into the den. How's she doing? She asked Windrunner. The Wind Clan leader shot her an anxious look. The kids will be here before Pebbleheart, she breathed. Mothflight stiffened as she heard her mother. How do you know? Slate didn't give Windrunner time to answer. Are the spasms that close together? She turned to Mothflight. Lie down and let me feel your belly. Wincing as another spasm pulsed through her, Mothflight lay down. She growled with pain, hardly feeling Slate's paws on her belly. Slate nodded briskly. Your kids feel strong. I think they're eager to come out and meet you. Pain scorched through Mothflight, stronger than before. Windrunner! She reached a paw towards her mother. It won't be long now. Windrunner crouched beside her. I need a stick to bite on. Mothflight panted as she fought the urge to yowl with pain. I'll go get you one. Slate ducked out of the den. Where the heck did Reedtail go? He's not the one fetching Pebbleheart. She returned, and he's helped give birth too. My God. Mothflight took it from her, relieved as she bit down hard with a spasm. The wind crunched between her jaws, and she moaned and her belly convulsed with such power that she had thought she would die. Micah! Sorry. She focused her thoughts on him, determined to stay strong. The image of his steady gaze shone in her thoughts. There's only so many ways you can describe a cat giving birth, okay? I've already read this. The image of his steady gaze shone in her thoughts. He seemed to be silently urging her on, groaning. She pushed with all her strength. Here's the first kid. Slate ducked behind her and lifted a small squirming bundle. Mothflight blinked at it, surprised, and spat out the stick. Is it okay? It's a he, and he's fine. Slate laid the tomkit beside Mothflight's muzzle. His warm scent filled Mothflight's nose, and she nuzzled him, her heart swelling as he squirmed against her cheek. Her body convulsed again. Another one! Thank you, another one. Thank you, another. Slate sounded jubilant. As the spasm seized her once more, the world seemed to blur around Mothflight. She was aware only of pain and the muted voices of Windrunner and Slate. In her mind, Micah's green eyes glowed steady and strong. The heady scent of her new kits washed her muzzle, and then, suddenly, the pain stopped. 4 kids. Aw, sweet dreams, Potter. I hope I see you again. It'll be more exciting when I'm actively interacting with chat, hopefully, instead of just reading. Today's the chill streams. 4 kids. Windrunner's proud mew broke through the fog. Mothflight turned her head, blinking, and saw 4 squirming bundles beside her. Instinctively, she pulled them close to her belly, reaching down to lap them dry. 2 of the kits had yellow splotches on their soft white pelts. One looked striped yellow all over, just like his father. His fur. She looked up at her mother. It's the same color as Micah's. The 4th was white, like Mothflight. I wonder what color their eyes will be. The kits wriggled against her, their eyes still closed. You have to wait a few days before you know. Windrunner's mew was barely a whisper as she leaned down and lapped Mothflight's cheek. Well done. I'm very proud of you. Is she okay? Pebbleheart's anxious mew sounded at the den entrance. He nosed his way into the den, puffing to catch his breath. Heat radiated from his pelt. Slate stared at him. Did you run all the way? Pebbleheart was gazing at the kits. I'm too late? Aw, I'm afraid so, Windrunner told him apologetically, but I'm glad you came. You can make sure Mothlight has the kit and the kids are okay. They look fine. Pebbleheart's eyes glowed. Dustmuzzle stuck his head through the entrance.
He outran me!
Cute. Mothlight blinked fondly at the Shadowglen medicine cat. I did it! Pride pulsed through her. Aw, bestie, Pebbleheart and Mothlight? Pride pulsed through her, stronger than she'd ever felt before. Aren't they beautiful? She hugged the kits closer, joy washing over her as she felt them warm against her belly. Micah's green gaze flashed once more in her mind. Thank you, Micah. They're lovely. Pebbleheart agreed. He leaned down and sniffed them. They seem strong and healthy. Windrunner tipped her head. Her eyes glittered with worry. Will you stay tonight, just in case? Of course, Pebbleheart promised, and I've spoken to Dabblepeld and Cloudspots. They've agreed to visit WindClan regularly in case anyone is injured or sick while Mothflight is recovering. Mothflight lifted her head. That's kind, but there's no need. I've shared everything I know with Reedtail. He'll be able to look after WindClan. Pebbleheart blinked. You've been busy. I just wanted to be prepared. Mothflight suddenly realized that, for the past moon, she'd been thinking about the future again. The grief that had dragged her into helpless despair after Micah's death had finally eased as she planned a new life around her kits. And now they were here, each one perfect, and her heart felt as full of love as it had been when Micah was alive. She purred loudly, joy leaping in her chest as her kits purred with her. She suddenly remembered her conversation with Sunshadow. I'll never feel like I've gained more than I've lost. Maybe not, but you will come to value what you still have and what you may have in the future. She looked at Pebbleheart. When you go home, tell Sunshadow he was right.
Ah, so sweet.
Okay, we're gonna end there for today. I said it. I told myself in my head I was gonna read until Mothflight got over her grief, like not completely, but like past that anger stage and pain stage.
Yippee! Yahoo!
I love the second half. Really? Is this the second half? Is it starting now after the babies have been born? After we read 2 baby births? The birth of babies? Honestly, I don't know if I have a book that I just don't like. Probably around, I think maybe one in like Dawn of the Clans might have not been great for me, but I can't remember which one it was. Like I felt like nothing really happened in it. But then again, I can't even remember it, which, well, that makes sense if I didn't really like it. You know what's weird? I don't know if there's any streamers in my chat. But I cannot for the life of me find where the tax form is. If you happen to know where the dang tax form is for Twitch, let me know.
Hi, Hinta.
I just find it to be my favorite part. More exciting and thrilling, enthralling, intoxicating, wondrous. It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life for us. Oh my god, Kyle's playing League of Legends.
Late nights when you feel like shit, I can make you feel so damn alone.
Oh, he just started? Wow. Enthralling would be a really strong word, but sounds about right. Enthralling.
I don't want to feel better. I don't want to get old. I want to share with you. I was worth something, I earned something. I'd rather die or rather live or rather choose to. I don't want to feel better.
This would be a really good song for an animatic. Moth Flight animatic. Real. If only I could do that really fast. Sometimes I think some people are so good at drawing that they could just do a really quick sketch. Like a really quick sketch, and like it's better than me trying my best. You know? Like, if only I could be so good at writing, I'm not writing, at drawing, that I could be like, you know what? I'm gonna sketch something out for this song in this afternoon, and then I'm done. And then I don't need to refine it or anything. I'm just like, yeah, I'm done. Yee.
Hi, Silver.
I've known many people like that, and I think it's not. They make it look effortless. I know, it's not fair.
You bring good news and bad news? What is it? What are the newses? Tell me the newses. Good news is I had fun playing Deadlock. Yay! Bad news is you lost every single game.
Kitty.
Bad news is that I was using 7, so everyone recognized me as a...
What? What? 7.
The heck is even 7?
It is? How do you already know the stereotype?
Hi, D&D.
Since he's a really evil character. 7 Deadlock. Oh, this guy. I haven't even read his... whatchamacalled. Also really selfish in gameplay. Ah. 7 originally had kill lines towards Paradox that implied he wanted to take over the Paradox organization. Wow. 7's chestplate has numbers that form a gorowaze, a form of Japanese wordplay with numbers. 4279 can be read as Shininaku, or become unkillable. Wow. Seven was the only hero with a limping animation which played when he was low on health. This has been removed. Plotting in the hideout is displayed as one status in the in-game friends list when playing as 7. I've seen you have this one. Quote from the song The Good Doctor. 7's character select line. With these hands I will destroy, and with these hands I will rebuild. That sounds like, Victor. Victor, League of Legends? Perhaps? A little Victor League of Legends? Okay. Well, I'm headed out now. I'm gonna make popcorn, I think. I'll have to eeny, meeny, miny, mo, Deadlock or Minecraft. I've been playing so much Minecraft, but I don't want to, like, miss out, you know? But also I feel like... Then again, I I wasn't good at Deadlock to begin with. Actually, I am gonna play Deadlock with friends on Saturday? So maybe I'll stream that. I'll stream that Deadlock then. Yeah, okay. Saturday I will stream Deadlock for sure. For sure. Maybe more before that too. Who knows? All right.
Bye, you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.
You had to take a break from Deadlock? Why? Were you losing it? Were you losing like me all the time? You know what happens to me whenever I play a game too much? I get really good, and then all of a sudden I just lose it all. All of it. I just suck again. You know why? Probably because I get sorted with people who are also high level, and then I'm like not as good anymore. Luckily, I'm really good at dealing with losses. Simply assume you're gonna lose. Even if you I got put in Phantom and they were too good. That's okay. It's okay. One day you'll learn from those mistakes and grow. I mean, if I lose, I just boot up SF6 so I can feel what it's like to have full control without getting ganked by an entire... It's true. If you lose too much, play something that you win at.
Okay, guys. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I love ya. Tomorrow. We're always a day away.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Take it easy. Take it easy. Oh, you can. That's okay. I hope you have a wonderful day.
I forget what that one quote was that someone said that I really liked, but I've forgotten it now.
Bye-bye. Take it easy, everyone. Don't sweat the small stuff. Hi. What? Good morning. Have a good day. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good afternoon.
Have a good life. Wow, beautiful.